Guys, today I'm going to make this, and this is a moisturiser. There's loads of different things that you can put into a moisturiser. This is just very plain and simple. When you get used to making moisturiser, you can try all kinds of things like hyaluronic acid, retinol, silk. There's hundreds of ingredients to choose from. One of the reasons I'm doing this is I'll watch lots of videos on YouTube and everybody's there with their glassware and their little Pyrex jugs, but you can make these things just from what you've got lying around in your kitchen. You don't need any specialist equipment. What you do need is a pair of scales that weighs very small amounts, but that's about it really. You've probably got everything else that you need in your kitchen. So this is what it looks like, and I hope when I put some on my hand you'll be able to see. So I've got on my finger there, and I put some on my hand. Obviously, you wouldn't need so much as that, but it's nice. It sinks in quite smoothly. You could put it on your face, you could put it anywhere you like on your body, really. So come along with me and I'll show you how I made it. It is I, Rox from Sugarwell again, and today I'm going to be making a lightweight moisturiser that's fragranced with rose essential oil. I'll just talk you through the ingredients that we'll be using to make our moisturiser. Okay, so for the water phase, which we will need to heat up to the same temperature as our oils, I'm going to be using 75% distilled water. I'm going to make 100 grams here, so we'll be using 75 grams of distilled water. To our water, we're going to be adding glycerin. Now, glycerin is an excellent humectant that draws moisture to itself. Now, some people, and I include myself as one of those people, I don't like the tacky feel on the skin if you put too much on. So I'm going easy on the glycerin in this formula. We'll be using Shea Butter, and I've already weighed out my Shea Butter here. This is an excellent emollient and moisturiser, really conditioning for the skin. It helps keep it soft. But if we use too much of this, it can feel quite heavy on your skin. So again, we're keeping that to quite a small amount. Also including watermelon oil, which is a really lightweight oil that has anti-aging properties. And I read online that it claims to depuff, which is certainly something that helps for mature skin, and it promotes blood circulation. I'll be including avocado oil too. This is highly antioxidant and rich in oleic acid, which promotes collagen production. Now, avocado oil is quite slow to absorb, so it can feel quite oily, which is again one reason why we're using this in a lower percentage, and hopefully the other ingredients will balance it out so we're not feeling the weight of the avocado oil and the shea butter. To emulsify our oils and water, we'll be using BTMS 50. Now, BTMS 50 is an emulsifier, but it has excellent conditioning properties, and it's a super luxurious skin feel. And you'll see this ingredient in a lot of conditioners and skin formulas. So for our cool down phase, which is the phase after we've blended and emulsified our water component and our oil component, we'll be adding Cyclomethicone, which is a great ingredient. This is highly volatile and it evaporates really quickly, but the properties it has is it almost acts like a carrier for the other ingredients, and it makes them really easily spreadable. So adding this will help distribute the other ingredients evenly over our skin, and it also makes it have a nice silky feel. We're adding polyquaternium 7. This gives a silky, smooth feel to your skin, and it just feels so luxurious. Because we're including water in this recipe, we need to add a preservative. So I've got my phenoxyethanol EHG here, and we'll be using that at just 0.5%. To fragrance this, I'll be using rose essential oil. I've picked this bottle up. This is rose geranium. We don't want that. I'll have to go and get my rose oil. And we're using 0.5%. Rose has excellent properties. It adds fragrance, of course, but the rose oil is very soothing for your skin and has an anti-inflammatory action. I'm going to start by just weighing out our oils. And in here, I've already weighed this out because I had to take it off a big block of shea butter. I have 1 gram of shea butter. So you can see how small an amount that is. And remember, we're making a 100-gram batch. So when you put this on, your skin is just going to have a very light layer of shea butter there. So I'm going to pop it into the container that I'm using to melt our oily ingredients down in the heated phase. And we're going to add 2 grams of avocado oil. I've got my little scales out because we're weighing out very small amounts. And I'm just putting the avocado oil onto a spoon so that I'm not overdoing it. And we want 2 grams or 2% of avocado oil. So that's just over a gram there. That's just over 1.5 grams. It can be difficult to weigh these out without going over just slightly. That's not a problem as long as it's just slightly over or slightly under. So we just want 0.30 grams more of our avocado oil. That's it. I want to add our watermelon oil. So we need 5 grams of this. I'll take the scales out. And because this has got a squirty top, I'm just going to squirt it straight in there, and we want 5 grams or 5%. Okay, there's our 5 grams of watermelon oil. Now, to this, we want to add our 7 grams or 7% of BTMS 50. So this is a little easier to add. I'm going to tear the scales out. We want 7 grams. I have sterilised everything, including my hands. Tiny bit more. There we go. So that's all our oil ingredients. Now I've already weighed out our 75% or 75 grams of distilled water, and to that I want to add 4 grams of glycerin. And I'm just pouring this into the cap to pour it out from, because that gives me a little bit more control. Okay, there's our 4 grams. So the next thing that we need to do is heat up and melt our oil-based ingredients and heat up our water ingredients. And these need to be at the same temperature, or more or less the same temperature, to make sure that the oils don't solidify because the water's cooler. So I'm just going to pop this on the hob, and they're only small amounts. I think it will take about 10 minutes to heat these through. Before I do that, I'm just going to cover the top of the water with some foil so that we don't lose anything in evaporation. While our water and oils are melting down and heating up, I'm going to weigh out our polyquaternium. And we just need 1 gram of this. This is very, very viscous. It's getting quite hard for me to get it out of the bottle. So bear with me. I'm going to put it onto a spoon. We only want 1 gram. Okay, I'm just going to push this off with the pipette where I put my scales on again, until we get our gram in there. So that's 0.68 of a gram. That's our gram there. In with our polyquaternium, I'm going to add our phenoxyethanol preservative. And we just want 0.5 grams. Again, I'm just putting this in the lid because it gives me that little bit of extra control. Okay. That's just a little bit over, but that's no problem. Our cyclomethicone I'm leaving right till the end because this evaporates so quickly. We want to get this in at the last moment and get it bottled up as quickly as possible. So I'm going to take this pipette and just get a small amount of water out of the water that's heating up on the stove. And the reason for that is I'm going to add it into here to make this easier to pour out when we get to the cool down phase. There we go, and I give that a bit of a stir. It just makes it easier to add later on because of the viscosity of the polyquaternium. There we go. Okay, so we've got our heated water here and our oils, which have a tendency to start solidifying straight away as soon as you take them out of the bath. I'm going to add our water in really quickly and give it a good mix around with the knife. The hot water will help melt those back down, the oils. Okay, so that looks quite good, and at this point I'm going to give it a quick blast with the blender on low. I'm just going to do it in a few little bursts. Okay, you might be able to see the steam coming off of that. Get that back in there, melt down. So we've got a milky looking consistency at the minute, and as you can see the steam's still coming off of the top of that. So we're going to leave that for 5-10 minutes and come back and give it another blend. Okay, so this has been cooling down for about 5 minutes or so. It's still a little bit warm. I'm just going to give it a stir and just blend it again. I'm just going to do short bursts as I did before. That should do it. I can still see steam coming off of it actually. It didn't feel so hot. Okay, so I'm just going to clean the blender out and then we'll leave this to cool down a bit more. Okay, so our formula's cooled down a lot now and it's looking quite a lot thicker. Don't know if you can see that. So it's time to add our polyquaternium, our preservative and our rose oil. So I've already got these weighed out, so I'm going to put these in and scrape out as much as I can get out of my little tub. And there with this little spatula. I can hear a tap dripping. Okay, I'm going to put this on my scales and weigh out 0.5 grams of rose oil into here and then give it a mix. That's exactly 0.5. I'm going to give this a mix up. Scraping it all off from the sides. I like using this knife because it's stiffer. And the reason that we're adding these ingredients at this point when it's cooled down is because these ingredients are heat sensitive. So, for example, if we put the preservative when it's too hot, the preservative won't work, and we need the preservative to stop any bacterial growth or mould growth. Okay, I'm going to tear my scales out now, and I'm going to finally add our Cyclomethicone, and we need 5% of this, so that's 5 grams. Seems a bit more. There we go. That's our 5 grams. That's our last ingredient, and I'm going to give this a stir up. And then I want to get it into its pot as soon as possible because we don't want the cyclomethicone to all evaporate before we've even had a chance to use it. Okay, so that's nicely mixed in. So I'm just going to scoop it out and put it into this little pot that I've got here. There, hopefully you can see the consistency is a lot creamier now. These little pots, I bought loads of them. They're very cheap. I think actually the delivery costs more than the pots do. So, and I get through loads of them. So this is one that I used on a earlier experiment, which I've just cleaned out and sanitised with alcohol. Sterilised, as I do with everything. I'm constantly spraying alcohol. Alcohol is extremely drying on your skin, so I'm glad that I make soap because my soap is very moisturising, and I don't think that I've had dry hands since I started making it. Certainly not the shea butter and oat milk soap that I make. Oops. Can we get any more out? Just a tad. Okay. And pop the lid on. And there we have our rose moisturiser. Of course, there's lots of different ingredients you can use in a moisturiser, loads of active ingredients to choose from, but I've just kept this simple. So it's a straightforward moisturiser. It's got oil in it, it's got water in it, and it's some really nice oils, and this will make your skin feel great. And you will have seen what it looks like when it's properly cooled down and been left for a day in the intro. So until next time, I'll see you later.